process. Our next governor of the state of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Rob, for here. Don't want my back to you. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I always love to be in Warwick. In fact, as I pulled in here, I looked across the street to Picasso's Pizza. That is where my very first event was, 8 years ago.
Wow.
Right? Well, if you're going to run for statewide office in Rhode Island, you start in Warwick.
Yep.
So, plus Joe Shikarchi was my man. Where did Joe go? Joe was my man. I said, Joe, come on. We got to organize Warwick. Where are we going? He said, we're going to Picasso's. Remember that? Yes. And a lot of you were there. Council President was there. Many of you were there. Rob was there. And Warwick's been very good to me. And I love that. My door is always open to you, members, senators and reps who are here. We've worked together. Rep Bennett and I worked 3 times to raise the minimum wage. We've worked on Senator Culkin, Leader Shikarchi. We've worked on a number of things together, and I pledge to continue to do that with you as your governor. I will say we've done a lot together in the past few years. When I came before this committee in 2013, 2014 to ask for your endorsement, at that time, we had the highest unemployment rate in America. Number 1. Today I was in Washington talking to the building trades. At that time, the unemployment rate in the building trades, the unemployment rate in 2012 in the building trades was close to 25%. That meant, chances are, if you were a plumber, pipe fitter, carpenter, roofer, you were out of work. And you were out of work for a long time. You were losing your house, couldn't pay your mortgage, losing your marriage, losing your pride and your faith and your confidence. And so I ran and have worked with all of you to say, let's get Rhode Island back to work. It's a state I love. My mother still lives in the house I grew up in. And I thought we could do better, and we have done better. And today, because of the work we've done, our unemployment rate's at or below the national average. For the first time, anybody that tells you Democrats don't know how to create jobs is full of baloney. The Democratic Party is the party of job creation, economic opportunity, and rebuilding the middle class. And we've created good jobs, not just any jobs, good jobs. Last year, we had the 3rd highest wage growth in America of any state in the country.
Wow.
And by the way, you can see it. You can see it. Look at the airport here in Warwick. On fire. We've doubled the number of direct flights. Hotel going up here. Drive-through Providence. Planes in the sky. Johnston. Citizens Bank headquarters. People are working. And all the while, we've held true to progressive values. Moving forward fast as we can towards renewable energy with the offshore wind farm. 3 times raising the minimum wage. Bringing about paid sick leave. Standing up for the dreamers. Standing up for the DACA students. Accepting refugees from Syria. You can be pro-growth Democrat and not leave folks behind. And, that's what we've done. And I'd love to have a chance to keep working. Over the Christmas holiday, I spent time with my family. I said, Andy, you guys know my husband, I said, we ought to run. What should we do? Should we run for re-election? He said, Gina, you got to finish the job you started. We're halfway through a lot of projects. We're rebuilding our roads and bridges. Another thing I didn't even talk about. Every time I drive by a roadwork sign, you know what I see? On average, 25 people put to work fixing those roads and bridges. So anyway, I have valued your support in the past. Rhode Island's on a roll. We've cut deficits, we've cut taxes, and we've invested in our future. And I'd like to have you with me again. The last thing I'll say is this. I want to congratulate the Democratic Council here in Warwick. People say, oh, Republicans, they're about fiscal austerity. Well, A, take a look at what's happening in Washington. That's not true. They just blew a hole through the federal deficit. But by my count, this is the first time in 18 years you haven't raised taxes thanks to the Democratic Council here in the city of Warwick. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm here to support the city, and I want to keep working with you. And I'll answer any questions.
Who has questions? Daniels.
So I know a big topic that's coming up is the $250 million education bond.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I've heard Seth Magaziner speak a couple times on that topic, but I'm curious to get your take on it and how you see that playing out. I know I'll put it to you. One of the criticisms I levied at Seth, and he kind of gave me his answer, was that the Jacobs report says that we're looking at $2.2 billion across the state, and that's both the category 1 and 2s as well as the 3, 4s, and 5s. By his number crunching, if we do a $250 million bond this year and another one in, say, 3 or 4 years, we're still going to be coming up short. So why aren't we asking for more money? Because according to him, the solvency of the state's fantastic. We got a bunch of debt that's going to be maturing and
It's
falling
true.
off the books. So
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Why aren't we going all in on our schools?
Yeah.
As I've heard you describe this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. So a couple things. This is my top priority this year. Massachusetts has done 7 statewide bonds to rebuild schools in the past 10 years. 7 in 10 years. Rhode Island has done 0 in 20 years. Wow. Yep. And by the way, our schools have fallen apart. In every single district. In Warwick, in Providence, in Cranston, it's everywhere. But in East Greenwich,
Yep.
in Newport, it's everywhere. So I'm calling for $1 billion investment over 5 years. Some of that's from the state, some of that will be from cities and towns. Why did we pick that number? Your question. 2 reasons. One, that's the number that will get every school to a status of warm, safe, and dry. Now, warm, safe, and dry, we could do better. I understand that. Kids deserve even more than that. But you got to start somewhere. And we thought, let's get every kid in every district, in every school to a place, and every teacher, by the way, to a place of warm, safe, and dry. You have to start somewhere. Secondarily, that is the number that I felt was fiscally responsible in the context of all of our other needs. And Seth, the treasurer is right. There's a certain amount of debt that's rolling off, and so we can put more on the books. I think we could do more in the future. This is what I felt comfortable with as a tax steward of the taxpayers. I thought this was what we could do now, responsibly, and get our schools to warm, safe, and dry. But I'll end where I started. Massachusetts has done 7 in 9 years, so this will not be the last time we do this. But let's go big and start big and make a big dent. And by the way, you put a lot of people to work doing it. There's too many schools I've walked into. On a rainy day, you walk into the school and it's raining in the school and they have a trash can or a bucket catching the water. That is the solution on a rainy day. That's not okay. I want every school to be a school that we will all be proud of sending our kids to. And that is the vision, and that's what we got to get to.
More questions?
On the city council, when we give money to the schools to make them warm, safe, and dry, we don't have any control over how they spend it. And when they did some work to create junior high schools are now turning into middle schools. They found a way to purchase Promethean boards and other nice technological toys
Yeah.
while the warm, safe, and dry was overlooked, and they also overlooked the fact that the former high school had never been hooked up to the sewer system. So under our government, where they are a separate entity, all we can do is give them the money and then they spend it any way they wish, which makes it very difficult to agree to give money to an agency that you have no oversight on how it's spent. And as I drive around Warwick, I see the roads are in just as bad a shape, and that affects every single person, not just students. So the conflicting needs, if we fix a road, I know we fix a road. If we give money to the school, it gets spent by the Warwick School Administration, not by the City Council. And not having that control makes it difficult. I'm all for fixing the schools.
Yeah. So you make a lot of good points. The proposal that we have before the legislature, the way it works is, in order for this, any city or town can apply, and there's certain incentives. So you get more money if the school is energy efficient. There's an incentive for fewer schools. There's an incentive for science and investment in science and technology. And there's a requirement of maintenance in order to get the money. And there's going to be certain controls. We're going to copy a lot of what Massachusetts has done. To be very honest, Massachusetts has done a very good job at this, with a lot of controls at the state level over a lot of what you're talking about. So we are copying the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and we've incorporated a lot of that into the legislation because they've been doing it a long time successfully. And you know, I'm not going to wade into every city and town issue. You have to decide, do you want to apply for the money? What schools are priorities? We're never going to tell you what to do. But there are a lot of controls built into this. And like the treasurer always says, and I agree with him, if the city wants to put millions of dollars into a new, I don't know, press box for a sports facility, well, that's fine. You go ahead and do that, but you're not going to get state subsidy for that. There are going to be a lot of controls around the state subsidy along the lines of what I just said.
What do you feel like are the biggest challenges from the state, the things that you feel that, you, I don't want to say lose sleep at night, hopefully you don't, but when you think about the future, those things that you really want to tackle that are the biggest, things that are challenging?
You know, I still think it's the economy. You know, we've come a long, long way in a few years, but I meet people all the time who are working 2 or 3 jobs because they need to make ends meet, who can only get a part-time job if they want a full-time job, who feel they don't have the skills, who they feel like their skills are outdated. So it's still that. There are many things: education, infrastructure, protecting the environment. These are all important, but at the end of the day, I'm still very focused on economic security for everybody. If you say really what keeps me up at night, it's this: how fast the economy is changing, and I want to make sure every Rhode Islander has job skills to get a good job. When I graduated from high school, which was not that long ago, my kids tell me I'm old. Not for You're so old, Mommy. I graduated from high school in 1989. Okay? At that time in Rhode Island, thank you. Most jobs available in Rhode Island just required a high school degree. That's a fact. Today, that isn't true. almost all decent jobs require some credential, degree, apprenticeship, job training, college, past high school. Most Rhode Islanders don't have that. And a lot of people can't afford it. So that's kind of a trap. You need a degree to get a good job. You don't have the money to get it. And so I want to continue to work on that. Job training programs, apprenticeship programs, get an associate's degree in college, the Promise program at CCRI. People don't want a handout. This is not about a handout. It's about making sure everybody has a shot. Whether you're 20 years old and just starting out, or 50 years old and you need to get a new job, I want you to be able to get a job in Rhode Island. And that means job training that's effective and affordable and accessible. So that really keeps me awake at night. Ed?
Governor, I'm a believer of doing the right repairs on the right schools. I'm also a believer that we need to close more schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm particularly a believer that we need to build at least one new school, maybe two, in the city of Warwick over some time period. So having said that, will the financial participation from the state be the same whether we do repairs or whether we build a new building?
There is, the way it's structured now, there's an additional incentive, more money, if you have newer and fewer schools. So again, consolidation is a tricky topic. Every city and town, you have to figure out what is right for your city and town. And the state isn't going to tell you to do that. But there is a financial incentive for newer, fewer schools. And then you guys, you figure that out. There's a lot of cities, every city's different. You know, in places like South Kingstown, they're busting at the seams. Warwick is different. So we want to structure it so you figure out what's right for you. But yeah, the incentive is for new schools. Donna?
Yeah. Governor, what about the human services department with the problems that we've been having?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's been very, very, very challenging. We've been working on it for a long time. We're going to get there, right? We're going to get there. The company sold us a bill of goods. We haven't paid them in a long time, and we're going to make them deliver a product. At this point, if the food stamp situation is much, much better. By and large, they're processing on time, dealt with the backlog. If you go first of the month, you don't see, the lines. But it isn't where it needs to be. And it's been very difficult, and I am personally on it on a weekly basis. I personally talk to the person that runs the company. There's actually like a divot in my table in my office, pounding my head on it. Because I can't write software. It's not, if I could fix it, I would fix it. I'm doing everything I know how to do to wring their neck and hold them accountable and make them fix this thing. And we're getting there, is all I can say. And I promise you I will stay at it until it is fixed, until they pay us every penny back, until Rhode Islanders get what they deserve. The thing that burns me up so much, makes me so mad, Donna, is what happened here, they did the same thing in Maryland and in Kentucky. Now, it was not my administration that hired this company, but I'll take ownership and we will fix it. Yes?
Governor, could you give us a couple of examples of what you're doing to protect the congressional seat from leaving Rhode Island, what you're doing to keep people in or bring more people in?
Yeah, we have to do that.
Yes.
By the way, we have to do that. Well, one of it is job opportunities. I'm of the belief maybe I'm biased. I think everybody would want to live in Rhode Island if you had a good job. We have the best food in America, the best beaches in America, the best community in America. Like, he's laughing at me. That's how I feel. I brought my husband here, you couldn't get him out of the state. But you need a job. That's the thing. So back to our discussion, I think if we could, if you could create good jobs at every level, then people will stick around. We did create, when I first became governor, with the Assembly, and I thank all of you, a program called the Wave Maker Fellowship, which has been incredibly successful. It basically helps pay back college loans for people. So if you graduate from a school in Rhode Island and you take a job in Rhode Island in a STEM field, we'll help you pay back your student loans for 4 years. We've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those in the past couple of years. Those are all young people who probably would have left. But they're staying here because of this to get a job. So I think, more programs like that. But I also think fixing the roads. I mean, people want to stick around. We've made huge investments also in bike paths and open space. I'm a big believer in that. In fact, I have another bond on the ballot now, suggesting on the ballot for more open space. People want to be in a place with nice parks, bike paths, clean water, clean air, good jobs, good infrastructure, progressive values. And so I think we got to keep doing that. Do you have your hand up?
Yes, so regarding UHIP, I'm looking here and it doesn't, they claimed as of last week they were still not in compliance. And I'm wondering, it's great and all that we're not paying them anymore, but there are several lawsuits pending against the state. Are we going to get that money back from them? And will you return any contributions that they or their executives have given to your campaign? Will you call upon other state representatives, some of whom are in leadership in here tonight, to do the same, return their contributions to this firm that has done so much damage to the state? You talk about things keeping you up at night. I mean, I think starving children would keep me up at night, but especially when your administration was specifically warned before the rollout that this was unlikely to work and probably not in compliance with federal guidelines, but went ahead all the same.
Yeah. Look, as I've said many, many times, it went live before it was ready. We relied upon representation from the company that it was ready, and it clearly wasn't. And since then, we have worked hard to make up for those mistakes. I have not taken money from that company, and other politicians, everyone has to make their own decisions. And I, as I said to Donna, I'll do whatever it takes to hold them accountable. As it relates to the fines from FNS, we haven't paid them. The company's paid them, and we will continue to insist that they pay for them. This is a technical problem, and it has to be fixed.
So just to clarify, you will not call on other lawmakers to return their
That's their decision.
I had an idea of a revenue stream for schools. When we first passed the lottery in Rhode Island, it was supposed to be 100% to fund education.
Yeah.
Well, now it's 100% to keep the state running. However, there is probably on the horizon going to be a new industry of sports betting. If that were carved out and were devoted solely to education, it would probably raise enough money to make a big dent. And a second way to make the cost a lot less, Rhode Island is smaller than at least 40 or 50 cities in this country. Why don't we have a statewide education program that is not dependent upon property taxes to pay for it, and have it administered as a statewide unified district?
Yeah. So there's a lot of merit in everything you said. Sports betting is not now legal, but it looks like it will be. We don't know over time how much revenue will come from that, but it's something we could look at. The good news is we do fund education well and better than most states. By the way, I'm proud of that. You know, you look at Oklahoma to save money, and Oregon to save money. They're teaching school 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week. I never want to be that. You know, on a pure pupil basis, we do a good job funding schools, and that's a good thing. Having said that, you make a good point that it is a lot of burden on property taxpayers, and it's something that we need to continue to look at. Right now, the legislature, 8 or 9 years ago, you have to help me, put in place a funding formula. And I think we want to wait until the end of that phased in fully before we take a broader look at it. But I'm open to take a broader look at it because I know it puts a burden on property taxpayers.
Governor, is the state going to continue to invest in truck toll classes in the face of legal challenges, or is the state going to wait for the legal challenges to run their course? And what merit to replace others with?
Yeah. We're going to go forward. We have an extremely strong case, and I'm highly confident that we're going to win. So that's the plan. Also, the way it works is it's kind of a chicken and the egg, because the Trucking Association can't sue until they've, in theory, had any damages. But they don't have any damages until we start the tolls. So our plan is to proceed apace. That's enabling us to rebuild our roads. We put 3,500 people to work doing it. And if they sue, we'll defend the suit and we'll win. All right, I'm getting the high sign. So it was very subtle. It went like this.
That's Rhode Island.
I know. Anyway, I think you're great. Can I say one last thing and then I'll leave? I think it's fantastic that you're here, and I think it's fantastic that there's such a big turnout. And I think it's fantastic that I don't know all of you and there's some new faces. That gives me hope for our future. We need more Democrats in office up and down the ballot. Starting at the top in the White House, all the way down. Because what we're living through now is a nightmare. And the only way to end that nightmare isn't by hoping that one day they wake up in Washington and fix things. That is not going to happen. It's going to happen right here in the Warwick City community, with dozens of people showing up on a Wednesday night, even bringing their kids, which I love, because it reminds us why we do what we do. It is not convenient for you to be here, I get that. But I'm so glad you are, because we're going to take back this country and put Democrats in office and restore democratic values and rebuild the middle class from the bottom up. And that's you guys.